Same thing that you said, Ross, which is like the educational part, like really just pulling back that curtain and not just knowing what your fees are, but what those fees mean. Because we can look at them all day long, but until we know what they mean and how they impact us, I think that was actually how service bureaus became really successful, was that we as the consumer did not have the education. So that's my big part. And on top of that, the lies. This industry is full. They're honest people, don't get me wrong, but the amount of dishonesty and really the misunderstanding that if you keep a person at a certain level, a lower level than you, then you'll be successful.
Welcome to the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast, where we help tax professionals start and scale a successful service bureau.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Service Bureau Accelerator podcast. I am here with Tia. Was it the tax? I forget. It's been a while since we recorded one.
The tax goddess.
The tax goddess. Tia.
How could you forget?
Ross. Was it Daddy Ross?
Uncle Ross,
whatever.
Daddy
Uncle Ross.
No relation.
And before we dive into the podcast and the topic, let's do something we never do until the very end or forget to do. If you've watched a couple of our episodes, go ahead and subscribe, comment, follow, whatever, because we never ask for people to do that until it's,
we forget.
And if you want any...
We talk about marketing and sales, but we never do it on the podcast.
Right. All right.
It's a new year.
It is a new year. At the time of this recording, it's now January 12th, right? Tax season is already... For those of the offices that start early, we've got a lot of people sending off returns now for loans. But yeah, so today's topic, I'll just introduce the topic and then I'll let you guys start chatting about it a bit, is why people hate on Service Bureau Accelerator. So Ross, Tia, whoever wants to go, maybe you want to list off a couple of things or take it how you want to take it.
Yeah, I like this topic because I knew as soon as we brought it up to Tia, she was going to be like, oh, I know. I got a whole list of why people are saying that. But yeah, it's funny. I'll share one instance that I thought was quite interesting on this. I think by and large, we've ruffled a few feathers. There's a few things we can get into, but, within the industry, just giving people the best deal and pulling back the curtains and showing people how much money they've been getting screwed over with basically on their software deals, but they didn't know any better because that's kind of how the industry has been. It's like, oh, don't worry about those fees. Max everyone out. And as soon as we started going in and actually educating people on those fees, people have been jumping ship left, right, and center. And the people they left are usually the ones who are hating on us because their volume's moving to our volume because they decided to crank fees, get greedy, and, take a lot of money out of people's pockets with no real value add. Like they weren't providing anything other than software. So that's a huge reason, I think, why there's been a lot of certain individuals that have been hating on Service Bureau Accelerator. But Tia, I know you got a laundry list of reasons because if you're in the streets, you're in those groups, you're seeing what people are saying.
Same thing that you said, Ross, which is like the educational part, like really just pulling back that curtain and not just knowing what your fees are, but what those fees mean, because we can look at them all day long, but until we know what they mean and how they impact us, I think that was actually how service bureaus became really successful, was that we as the consumer did not have the education. So that's my big part. And on top of that, the lies. This industry is full. They're honest people, don't get me wrong, but the amount of dishonesty and really the misunderstanding that if you keep a person at a certain level, a lower level than you, then you'll be successful. What I love about us and what people hate on us is that we don't say, hey, you have to be at this level in order for us to be here. Like everyone's on the same level. Everyone's a service bureau. Everyone's getting the same knowledge. And then what you do with it is pretty much up to you.
No, that's a
and I don't think you guys started. Yeah, I don't think y'all started saying, hey, we're going to get haters. I remember this being a very honest, really humbling conversation with just looking to bring transparency to the industry.
Yeah, I mean,
haters are a good sign, right? It's like if people are hating on you, well, you're doing something right, typically.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Baldeep has had hater for years. So.
One comment I got from somebody in the industry that wasn't a hater, but basically it was somebody that worked at a software, and right when we launched this thing, after probably a couple of months in, as we started picking up really a lot of traction, one of the guys, I'm not going to mention any names or where he's from, but he's like, hey, you're pissing a lot of people off because you're taking a lot of their customers. Literally, that was the word. I'm like, well, I can't control what these guys tell their clients on why they're fucking banked $190 and they don't get any of it. So am I doing the wrong thing? I don't think so. I'm giving them an opportunity to make that money versus just having it come out and not have any idea. There's another scenario where I met somebody in person, and I think the comment was, "Oh, you're the person that takes all my customers." That was the comment.
Sorry, but yes.
Maybe. But.
And I also wanted to mention some of what Tia said. It's like when we set out for this, it's not like that was the idea. It's like, oh, let's piss everyone off. It's like, let's just, I mean, Baldeep, you mentioned this before, where it's like, let's give everyone the deal that you wish you had when you started your service bureau. No add-ons, no, like, just set them up as a true, real service bureau. They have full control. They can do whatever they want in their service bureau. They can sell as many licenses. They can do whatever they want. And there's no extra fees on the back end. They take all those fees, right? They can set the fees, and all that money just goes directly to them, setting them up as a true service bureau. And that's why when we first launched, that was our big marketing hook. It's like, here's the secret in the industry that no one wants to tell you about, because none of those service bureaus wanted to tell their customers about how they could potentially become a service bureau as well, because that would mean that they're now not getting those $190 bank products where majority of those fees are going direct to the
they're just losing out. A lot of people look at, I'm not going to make that money anymore. Oh, I lost this client. The client was going to leave you, right? Once they start asking those questions and you don't have a good answer, or you can't, or they realize that, hey, they didn't know you were making 40 grand off them every year without the, right? Yeah. They're not going to stay with you if you say, oh, now you could do this. Like, you have to set that. I think that's the transparency. You have to set that ascension plan.
I was just about to say the same thing, just piggybacking off of Ross. The part that I think was intentional was, okay, let's give everyone the same deal. Let's make it great. I think the part that was unintentional is that you all actually showed people another way, another level of growth that wasn't there before, because most of us really thought that the end was, okay, you have a tax office storefront. If you have 1,000 clients, you're good. Mm-hmm. A lot of us didn't know that there was another level of the devil, as they say.
I think Lisa Gibson is the one that really ran with that concept. And I hammered that into her from the beginning. I'm like, you got to stop doing taxes. Like, we tell people all the time, like, everyone still does it, right? Tia still does it.
Yeah.
But I think the ultimate goal is, hey, stop doing taxes, focus on the business, and, you'll get to that number. I think Lisa was one of the few people that's 100% just said, hey, let's just not do taxes and let's just focus on selling software. And you see the results on it.
Yeah. 100%. It's definitely causeway, but that's definitely a big part of being hated on. When you show a person another way, it's like you kind of taking off the rose-colored glasses. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it this way, but I want to ask you all, have any other service bureaus come to you and feel like you were like traders, like the big?
No, not traders. The big ones really didn't care. Like, they don't care, right? The big ones that do care is because we take their customers, right? But they won't publicly say anything. They're not like that, right? They're cool people. It's just, hey, we just are doing something different. The big ones here's my thing. I think that the big ones missed the boat or missed the opportunity, but the way that they grew is different than the way that we grew, right? They can't go to Tia, say you're a client of a big service bureau, right? You were a client of a service bureau that was pretty big, if I remember correctly. And say they go to Tia, hey.
That's now a part of it.
Really? Okay. But the big one, they're not part of the program. They got bought out. But it's not like they couldn't go and say, hey, kind of done what we did. The challenge that they had is, how are they going to go show Tia how to grow? Because the way that all these big ones grew is they just called down the FOIA list, called down all the EROs and cold called and had sales reps and sold software for years and years and years and years. You go to all the trade shows, this and that. They're doing that type of growth. How we grew? Ads, webinar, sales call, close. That's it. Like, we don't need to go see you in person. We don't need to have 20 people hammering the phone, getting the same list that everyone else calls. Like, we have people come to us. So they can't show their people how to do that because they don't know how to do that, right? So how are they going to show them? How are they going to train them? So a lot of those guys, they'll sell you a service bureau, but it's, hey, cool, go ahead and market it. Maybe try this. Why don't you try doing this? But they don't have any of the steps or any ways to execute, how to build a team around it. None of that. Because the employee at these companies, they're just the employee at these companies. That's it. I have my job.
they don't know how to run a webinar and how to put together a sales presentation.
So going back to your question, Tia, I don't think we didn't really get much hate from like the bigger ones. You know, some of the actual tax softwares get mad when we take their clients and put them on a different one. But the bigger service bureaus, at least the ones that we speak to, not so much. The ones that typically get mad are the service bureaus that are semi-big, let's say 20, 30, 40,000 products, medium, like right? Medium-sized service bureaus. And then all of a sudden, all of their clients are jumping ship, right? There's one service bureau that I'm not mentioning names, but I know of one that we took 50% of their volume in one swoop with a handful of clients. And one of the things we always tell people is you can't build a service bureau with a handful of clients, maxing them out. One of them leaves you, you just lost 25, 30% of your business, right? There's just, you had 100 people. Here's how you had 200 people. Here's how you had 500 people. You lose 10 in a year, you're adding 50 next year. It doesn't matter, right? It all just still grows. And that's where a lot of people, I think those are the types of service bureaus that get more mad. I had another funny conversation. I mean, I've spoken to some of those medium-sized ones in person, and I think a lot of the times it's like, hey, how are you doing it? Well, it's like, we have this whole thing. Hey, can I get into your training? You're going to have to leave your direct relationship and come with us. And a lot of times those people's egos won't let them do it, even though we could give them the same deal, more than likely, right? Or better, but they just won't do it because of ego. But it was like, yeah, our program is just for people that have their softwares with us. We don't sell it outside of it. That's why it's $2,000 and you get all of that. If we sold it outside of it, 25, 30, 40, 50 grand more, right? Because what some people have been able to do with it is pretty good.
Yeah, I think that also ties into, I was just looking at like some of our notes for the episode and stuff, and there's one, service bureaus who try to copy us but can't. There's another word that's on the sheet, but I won't say that. And that's another thing too, which is kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier, is that like, if you're working with a large service bureau and you're under, you're direct with them or whatever, but they're a large business that's been around for a long time, they're going to show you how to go and launch Facebook ad campaigns to drive it into a lead funnel or a webinar, and have callers and have a sales pipeline and do demos and like the whole sales process that we teach. It's like they're not going to be able to do all that stuff, especially with the new age of marketing, of digital media and everything like that. That's where they fall short. And some people have definitely tried to copy our program and have tried to do that. And what happens is people think that it's like, okay, maybe these guys have got a better program. They go over there, they realize that this company can't deliver on what they promised. They don't deliver on anything that was promised, and it's a horrific experience. Then they lose an entire year of being a service bureau because they never even got their software delivered to them. Not only that, but the website or whatever other these marketing assets that were promised to them don't even work properly. So then they end up going, you know what, screw it. And then they jump over with us and they're like, oh my God, I wish I did this earlier. So I think that's another reason why a lot of people hate us, is because they're trying to deliver a lot of the stuff that we do, that we actually deliver on, that we've been doing this for a long time.
The problem is they're not experts at it. So there's one company that I was made aware of that was trying to figure out, oh, how are we doing what we're doing? And just because you know some of the tools that we use, like internet tools and this and that, doesn't mean you know how to use it or know how to execute on it. Right.
Mean you know how to execute,
you could go sign up for some of the same tools, go have fun. Right. There is a lot more involved than the actual tool that you use. And it's funny because the comment that person made to somebody else that I know is, but how the hell do you support all these people? Because a lot of people don't realize. And some of those people in the group that started selling like sub-service bureaus and started selling service bureaus to other people, now they're starting to realize, wait, how do you support all these people? Because there's a whole level of extra knowledge and extra stuff that you need to know, and you need to be able to convey, and you need to be able to support, that's way beyond just setting up somebody with a tax office and enrolling them in the bank. Right? So go ahead.
And one thing that Ross had mentioned too was the process that we go through to bring a person from awareness to actually becoming a part of our program. Just the webinar in itself creates conscious buyers. So even if we have people who are interested that don't buy at that moment, they now have that knowledge at no cost that they're now using to go and filter and inquire and ask questions against other service bureaus. And that creates a lot of tension as well, aka the haters, because you're giving it for free. And how long is the webinar?
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. Yeah, That's a good point. Cause yeah, there's a lot of information that vary like the first 15, 20 minutes that we explain the stuff and everyone goes, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This opens a can of worms.
On some webinars. Some people are like, wait a minute, I'm looking at my fees. I don't get any of this. And we're like, oh yeah, if you were with us, that 20 grand that's missing is now in your pocket.
That's yours. Yeah. We've done that at the end of webinars where people, they'll do an app and they put in like, they do a screenshot. And they're like, can you look at my numbers right now? We're like, yeah, sure. Why not? We're at the end of the webinar. We're just doing like a Q&A session. And we've done that multiple times where it's like 10, 15, 20,000 plus dollars. And people are just like, holy, like, yeah. And then of course, yeah, what happens, right? Then they go back to their software provider, be like, hey, what the hell is this? Because now I know what all these numbers are. What the hell's going on here? And then they tell all the other people that they know who are getting software from that person. Exactly. And then one person who may have a stronger influence in that community or in that group of customers that are getting software from another service bureau, that one person can be like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to go get my service bureau set up properly. And I'm going to take all of your customers with me because you're screwing all of them over as well.
Quite a few times.
That's happened many times.
So many times. Even some people that will come and just scope us out, come to the webinar like several times, and then the next year, okay, I just want to make sure it's legit. I looked you guys up. I see that you're on YouTube. Called a couple of other members.
Watched a couple podcast episodes.
Called up, messaged some other people in the...
Message some of the other members. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to buy. And then when they do it, they also have, like you said, those group of clients ready to come over. So it's
your network, right? Yeah. Everyone's in the industry. Everyone has other colleagues. They got people that they talk to. They're doing a tax return and something's a bit wonky. Maybe they got one friend who's like really good at the corporate returns or something. Hey, let me slide in your DMs. I need some help on this return or whatever. That's why it's such a great business model too, is because it's so easy for people already in the industry to get into it. You already have a network. You're already doing taxes. You're already using software anyways. So is everyone else. Very easy to get in and just start selling to your network and bringing people in and setting them up correctly, especially when you get the education that we provide. There's actually a couple that they joined our program. They went through all our foundations. They're like, okay, they learned a ton of stuff about it. And then they saw some marketing for another company. And we know this company, we work with them tons. Like they're great people over there. They just run a little bit differently, right? And they thought the grass was greener on that other side because of this one little thing. And I'm just like, that one little thing means like part of my language. It means fuck all to your service bureau, realistically.
All the one little thing.
But they looked at, they're like, ooh, this shiny object. So let's go over here because it's probably going to be a better deal. Well, they had already gone through our like foundational training. And in that training, we really break down like the ABC, the 101 of a service bureau. And so when they went to this other company and that other company was starting to do their bank enrollment and everything, they're like, all right, well, where's my master EFIN? Like, oh, no, don't worry about that. We take care of it. They're like, hang on, with SBA, we got a master EFIN. We did the bank enrollment, did all this stuff. And they're like, no, we do all that for you. I'm like, well, how the hell are you going to enroll me with the banks if you don't even have my banking info? So immediately it's like red flag, because with our program, it's like, this is your info. It's your service bureau. You enroll with the banks. We guide you through. We have training. We have support and everything. But we educated them very quickly in our program to the point that now when they went somewhere else, very quickly, they're like, hang on, this isn't right. Because I know what's right because I was with SBA. So long story short, they came back with the tail between the legs. I'm sorry, but yeah, I thought the grass was green on the other side and it was not. And so sure, we get a little bit of hate from that too, where people say, you know what? No, this isn't right. I'm going to SBA.
I remember that.
Sorry, not sorry.
What about the ones who couldn't sign up so they hate?
Yeah.
There are service bureaus who couldn't sign up so they hate on us?
I wouldn't even call some of them service bureaus, but so obviously with depending on what software they have and certain contractual obligations, we can't sign up some people on some softwares. And if they're an existing service bureau with, say, for example, TaxSlayer, and we can't sign them up, and they already have a service bureau and have offices, but they're like, oh, but what if I just sign up with you on OLT, your other software? I'm like, well, no, that's not how we operate. We don't want you to have a service bureau there doing whatever, and then also here with, like, that's not how we do it. Like, it's all or nothing with us, right? At least to get access to.
And that's because they want the training?
Exactly. Because guess what? You're with Slayer, you're with another company that we have a conflict with that we can't sell on. They don't have the training. They don't have that type of support that we have for the growth of the business. So it's like one of the people, I think Ross mentioned this earlier, so it reminded me. It's like posting in Facebook groups, talking shit. And then I go back, and then it ends up in our, like, somebody sends us a screenshot of this. And then we see all these SBA members, like members of the SBA community, just commenting back, like, what are you talking about?
Firing
like,
back.
It's just like avalanche.
Yeah.
And then I go, and
Don't
I'm
know
like,
what you're
who
talking
is this person? And then I go look up, and I'm like, and then we actually had the call recording. So I go listen to the call recording. I'm like, there was a conflict. I said, hey, if you want to go get released, we'll give you, like, you're better off here. Go ahead and ask for a release and this and that. But they never went and did that. And they're just like thinking like, oh, well, why, how are they doing this? Because I have to pay for all this extra stuff. And wait, I don't have to with them. The whole long story short, then I did some digging and I found out, I'm not going to mention names so nobody gets in trouble or whatever, but I found out they had like a bunch of offices, but they only did like 300 or 400 bank products in their entire group. I'm like, well, that's why you don't have a good deal, because you only do 300 or 400 bank products. What are you fucking going to get? Like, right? You're not going to get anything special. So you're trying to say, hey, watch out for all this stuff that you have to pay for because you have 400 products, and anybody in our group immediately doesn't have to pay for that because we leverage the volume, right? So it's just funny little things like that that people don't understand.
And our rock stars are loyal. Like, we're always out there. We report, but
I don't see any of this stuff. We find out later.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, we're out there. We're like SBA.
Yeah. Well, that one person's post, I don't even remember like who it was, but it was screenshotted. This was not us. Again, this was our SBA family here. Someone in our program went and saw this and was like, well, this is some bullshit. Took a screenshot and posted it in our group so that now all of our community saw, and everyone went to that comment and everyone just started lighting it up. It was pretty funny. But again, that's what it is, right? It's like people who don't have the setup that we have because they're, like you said, bald, right? They don't have the volume. They don't have the ability to actually negotiate and get those offers. And so then when they see something else, like when they see the information on our program, it's like, well, that's not possible. And they think it's like they,
and I think a lot of the times,
I don't know how many times,
a lot of times people think it's not possible because when we take one of their clients, which we can take their clients, and then their clients immediately get a better deal than they even have.
And the client says, well, I'm getting this. And the other person says, no, that's not possible. It's like,
I think that's where a lot of it comes down to. It's service bureaus that have shitty deals, that don't have the volume or power to get a better deal or even know how to ask for one. They lose a customer to us. And now all of a sudden our customer can give them a better deal. And they're like, wait, how did that person just do that? How did they just go from, how they just go from being a preparer and I trained them up to showing them how to get their EFIN to now all of a sudden they can give me a better deal on software? Like, how did that happen? Right? And I think that causes a lot of conflict for sure.
So, but outside of like logistics, so let me ask you this. So we have service bureaus who are already service bureaus that are just transferring to us.
Yeah, that's happened.
Better deal as a service bureau. So besides conflict of interest, are there any other reasons that they can't sign up?
It's typically just the conflict, or if we had a bad feeling about, so like we had this one chick that I remember speaking to, and they're like, oh, I have Drake, I have this, but I want to get this through you. Go get it through somewhere else. Like, we don't want that type of client, right? Like, especially when we know if they have multiple softwares, it's like, you're not going to be focused. We're not giving you our training so you can go grow your service bureau with Drake or whatever. This is not what we do. Yeah. And then the ones that, go ahead.
I was going to say, we had an earlier podcast episode about that, where at least we touched on it about having multiple softwares where it's
they're not focused.
There's very quickly diminishing returns. And I mean, there's a whole slew of reasons, but like, you do not want to have every single software under the moon just so that you can offer every single software. Because now you have to support every single software. And if you're direct with the software companies, guess what? You're not going to get any better deals and incentives as you grow your volume, because your, say, 5,000 products are spread across 6 different tax softwares. So, okay, great. You have no negotiating power with any one of those softwares. So that's why it's like, just, you don't need to do that to grow a service bureau. If you struggle at converting a sale because some person wanted software A, but you offer software B, well, you need to learn how to move that person onto software B. If you don't know how to do that, doesn't matter what softwares you have. It, like, having more softwares is not the answer to the solution. The solution is to understand why that person likes software A and show them why software B is going to do the exact same and more. Right. And that's how you need to position the sale. And that's what a lot of people kind of struggle at.
See,
so you
but
think,
typically,
if I just have more softwares, then everyone will buy.
But typically in this industry, if someone, and it's how we're conditioned. So if someone tells you, no, you can't do this, oh, there must be an income opportunity they're trying to hold me back from. And that's why they're telling me not to do this. Versus, like you said, very logically, like, when you spread it across, it really doesn't look like you're doing much. But yeah,
I'm still struggling to learn our second software. I know the first one pretty good.
Technically the third, but we don't really sell one of them anymore. We don't sell the first one anymore.
Technically the third, yeah.
He who must not be named. We're not going to talk about that one.
Anything else, guys? Any other thing? I'm just looking at some of the
People
notes. I mean, I think
who
we
are
covered
not
a lot
actual service bureaus that hate on us.
No, that was your comment, so I don't know. You tell us.
Oh, yeah, no.
You're looking at me with like the question in your face, like, what does that mean?
What do you got, balls?
Yeah. What do you got? Yes, I want to touch on the people who are not even in the software selling industry that are selling software. I don't want to say too much or too little, but if you're registering me for your bank services and then you're offering me software, I'm a little confused how that kind of works out.
Yeah, I think when people or companies decide to do too much, they end up having less than expected results. Right? Like trying to focus on marketing, banking, software, this, that, not everything's going to suffer, right? That's, I'm not naming names, I'm not saying anything.
But let's be clear, these are not like mom and pop, type of companies.
Yeah.
These are companies that I would think we wouldn't even be on their radar. And, it's like, hey, brilliant idea.
Let's copy
Let's just randomly
Let's go
sell
do
software.
This. Let's go do that.
And you can be a service bureau in 3 days and up and running with 1,000.
Well, I mean, and it goes to show the results of campaigns like that from different companies, like companies that historically do different things. It's that, they can't support it. There's a lot more involved than just setting somebody up and enrolling them. A lot more involved because now you have to train them on how to use all this stuff. And if you're learning it, how are you going to teach it to them? And then it really just comes down to support. I mean, we brought over a lot of people from companies like that or places like that where they're trying to do too much. And they're like, I just can't get what they told me they'd give me. They're kind of what Ross said earlier, even on the other topic, whereas people like promising all this stuff, but they can't deliver it.
Yeah, hanging out in a Discord server trying to get support.
Please.
No names. No.
Not the Discord.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
I would like for us to have... Sorry.
That's just some of our members telling us some horror stories.
I would like to talk about another episode, fulfillment. Like, why is it hard for people to like fulfill that? Because like you said, these are big companies.
Well, it's because here's why they're struggling, and it's very easy. Hey, Tia, right? You're familiar with tax software, right? And maybe you just do one piece of it. Go and build out this whole other thing. Okay, cool. Where do I start? I don't know. You go figure it out.
Right.
Exactly.
What the hell are you talking about?
Right? What are you talking about? So you go and hire somebody from say you go, and some of these companies, they all recruit from each other. Well, I'm going to go hire this guy that's leaving this bank, or I'm going to go hire this guy that's leaving this software. They're just hiring employees that just follow and do certain roles. Most of these guys aren't thinkers and building product, right? Regardless of whether you're coding the platform or not. In this case, we're not coding the platform. You still have to be able to build the product and the fulfillment of that product. And if you don't know the steps involved in that, how are you going to do that, right? Like when we launched SBA, it was like, all right, cool. Well, what are the steps involved in getting a whole thing set up? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, cool. So when we sign somebody up, we need to get them to give us this info. Oh, wait, you know what's going to happen? Everyone's never going to give us their logo. So why don't we go and get a logo designer to make all the logos for everybody that signs up? So now that'll shorten down the support and us chasing down customers. These are things that we picked up on before we even launched, right? Somebody else from this other company that says, hey, John Smith, go and do what they're doing, right? Okay, how are they doing it? Oh, what tools are they using? They don't know the nuance.
Tools
That's
don't matter.
because the secret sauce is not that marketing degree. The secret sauce is that you will honestly go to thousands and thousands of hours of training, hire smart as like tech people, and put really streamlined, intricate systems in place that I don't even understand in order to make this work.
And it's not only so, but it's the fundamental part that Baldy was talking about is actually knowing the exact steps A to Z. It's like you have to know that first. And this whole other topic as well of like automating my business or like outsourcing my business. It's like, if you don't know what the hell's going on in your business, how can you put someone in place and actually make sure they're doing it properly? You don't know what to look at. You don't know if they're doing it correctly. You don't know if they're doing it incorrectly. And so that's, I think, the biggest difference is that a lot of these companies try to bring in, and they, like Baldy said, they bring in an employee has a very like specific like knowledge base, which they're great at. I'm sure they excel at within those specific parameters. But then when you're trying to get them to just go above and beyond any of that stuff, where they have to now be the entrepreneur and figure out and be the problem solver to try to determine exactly what is the right process, where are people going to get stuck, how do we simplify this whole process, that's where it breaks down. And that's where knowing every single step of the process, like the back of your hand, allows you to create those streamlined processes and systems in the business that then you can put someone in place afterwards, because you've built it. You know exactly how it works. You know exactly how it needs to be done correctly every single time. And you've built the system around it. Now you can put someone in place to manage it. And that's where a lot of people just don't understand that, because it's like, does that sound like a lot of work? Yep, it is. Welcome to being in business. You got to put in the work, right? Like you got to do the work. And people, I've heard this, I don't know how many times I've heard this on sales calls. I know you've probably heard this too. You've probably heard this as well. Well, how much work do I have to do to be successful? However successful you want to be. I don't know. That is a great question, and also a horrible question. And you probably shouldn't be in business if you're concerned about having to put in some actual work. And so that's it, right? People want to buy shortcuts. They want to try to skip the line and get immediate results. And it's like, you got to do the work. The best thing that I would probably say about our program is that you get to learn from all of our work and all of the mistakes that we made along the way, where we now can give you a shortcut, because it's like, we're actually in the industry. We're in the business. We're growing a service bureau. We know exactly what we did wrong. We know exactly what we're doing right. And we know exactly what our improvements are going to be for next year. And we share that with everyone. Hey, here's what you should be looking at. This is the time of the year. This is what we did in the past. This is what we saw that didn't work. This is what we changed about it. This is what you should do as well. So it's like that, if anything, is like a huge part of our program, is giving our members that shortcut to success from our mistakes. There's still work involved. Don't think it's a cheat code. That doesn't mean you have to do any work, but there's still work involved to really understand all the steps as we've laid them out, and how to go out and build programs to grow your service as well.
Just to add one more thing to it, is building programs, right? Like going to Tia's question, and we've built a lot of programs, right? We've fulfilled on massive campaigns. It's all the same thing. If you have that skill set, you have the skill set. If you don't, knowing what tools you use isn't going to help you. Right? Yeah, it takes work, like you said. Yeah, and even on supporting.
Sitting there looking at the Tax Nitro screen.
Oh, wait, yeah. This looks familiar. Oh, I've seen something similar. Okay, let's go figure it out. Like, good luck, have fun. Good luck, have fun. Right? 4 years it takes to learn stuff. Like, we're 4 or 5 years in using tools like that, or more. Tools like that we've used a lot.
You never lie. This is not an official plugin for Tax Nitro, but everyone knows how much I love Tax Nitro. Literally, I feel like after using it for 3 years, I'm just getting a hang of automations and CRMs. It takes years.
Yeah. And then think about
you guys just make it easy.
Think about trying to think about creating a system that you can then, like a whole build out that you can deliver to multiple people. And then when they get stuck in a certain area, you have to be able to support that. Like, not just the tool, the software, but how you set it up for them to succeed. Now you have to support that, as well as all the other that comes with it. Just learning the
and tool. You'll run into people that are not as tech savvy, and
have fun.
Those support calls are support calls, right? Like, it just happens. A lot of people overlook that. They think it's all plug and play. But no, it's not. All right, I think okay.
So how many people do you all have? How many people on the team? I just know my part, and I kind of stay in my lane. But, people have the misconception. They just see it's a small team. But how many people really support the SBA community?
Oh, like on the company payroll? I think like 20-something.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're over 20 at this point.
Oh, we're going to be hiring probably another 6 or 7 people this quarter, next quarter, mainly on the support side, support and sales actually. Yeah. But yeah, a lot on the support side. We ramped up more support people this year to be able to, because here's the thing another thing that happens, and it's funny because I had a conversation about this yesterday with Lisa. She's like, and this is something that these people that try and copy us don't realize, that a service bureau is not the same as selling software, right? So when you sell a service bureau, you go and show them how to set it up and all that stuff, right? Year one. Guess what? If a person only sets up 3 or 4 people year one, right? And say you go like us, we sign up another 250 people next year, right? Now we have to support these new people and show them how to set stuff up. Guess what? Half of the people from the year before are going to need support in setting all this stuff up because they forgot how to do it. Because it's something that they do once a year. And if they don't do enough, like some people, I'll set up 5 or 10 people, right? If you set up 5 or 10 people, you may remember how to do it. You might not by the time the next year rolls around. If you set up 2, you're probably not going to remember how to set, right? And it's Definitely all the little quirks, like how many tickets we get about, hey, this is saying this, where do I fix this? Well, here's the video, and it happens every year, and we've explained this multiple times, but we still get 30, 50 tickets about it every single season, right? Like, or more, right? So it's those little things, because you're not supporting just the new people and showing them how to do it. It's all the existing people. So like over 600 something people that we're supporting just on that. And then that also comes with, we try and not deal with a lot of this stuff, but that also comes with ERO support for their EROs. Because, and this is probably this will be a good topic for the next one. We'll give it a little thing, because a lot of times EROs, like say something's going on with the bank, they need to fix some issue. The bank customer service sucks. Software, because like all these customer services are going to suck. And if you don't know how to ask the question, you're going to be stuck in a 2-3 day limbo of hopefully somebody figuring out what you're asking. But guess what? The people that submit a ticket with us give us a breakdown. Even if they don't know exactly what's going on, give us enough info where we could say, all right, is this what you mean? Or is this what's happening? Oh, okay, cool. 6 hours later, resolved. Because we already know what to look for. We already know how to ask it and how to get the result.
And we got them connections. We got the hookups.
I was just about to say, wait a minute. We do have some connections.
Yeah. We got some hookups, so.
I end up making, this time of year,
they hating for a reason.
I make a few phone calls on certain scenarios. Like, hey, can you just look this one up for me? What's going on here? Okay, can we do this and that?
Boss, come on now. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Awesome. Well, I think that was a pretty good episode. I'll plug it again since we did it at the beginning, but if you guys enjoyed this episode or listen to our other episodes, definitely go ahead, subscribe on Spotify, YouTube. Where else we got? I don't know. We got it all over the place. But yeah, go ahead, follow, like, comment
Wherever
as well. If there's
any comments.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about Service Bureau Accelerator, head on to our website, servicebureauaccelerator.com. I think there's still like our webinars. I mean, we're January at this point, so we're not doing, our enrollment isn't open. We have a wait list though, but I think that you can catch a replay from our like last year's presentation, learn a little bit more about the program, what we include and everything like that, fill out the waiting list, get subscribed on there. And then we'll be reaching out in the late spring and usually open up enrollment back at that time. So, but yeah, great episode. I think it was fun.
Let's wrap it up later.
Peace out.